Member for Esquimalt-Machosen.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, I'm taking this opportunity to stand and speak to this bill because, as the members on this side of the House know, we are in fact being denied the opportunity to debate very many bills in this House in this session. This government has chosen to evoke a closure bill on much of the legislation and has not given us our opportunity for full and fair democratic debate on this, or in the case of this bill this morning, Madam Speaker, only the most superficial opportunity to debate. We have a few scant hours. We have many members here who want to stand up and speak out on behalf of their constituents. And Madam Speaker, I'd like to be on the record to say that I do support the concept of a carbon tax. I believe that it is an important aspect of our fight against climate change, but I also know that it has to be something that is fair and equitable across this province, and that we need to start with the top, with the worst polluters, with those who are doing the most damage. Right now in the province of British Columbia, we have to start there in order to make significant and real change. As long as we are going to expect that this will all be borne on the shoulders of consumers, Madam Speaker, I think that it is a failure by this government. And I have been hearing daily from my own constituents, Madam Speaker, about their immediate reaction to this unfair gas tax that's being imposed upon them. Because, in fact, Madam Speaker, unless there are alternatives for consumers, then this is an unfair gas tax, and merely that, a gas tax that they have no other options to avoid. And so, Madam Speaker, the fact that the government has not seen fit to invest in transit and provide some of those options so that if people want to make a choice and get out of their cars and drive less, that those options are very real and available for them, then, Madam Speaker, this carbon tax is not doing its job. It's not going to change behaviour, because behaviour can't be changed if those options are not in place. Madam Speaker, providing for options for those who live in rural British Columbia, who are going to be disproportionately affected by this, because, again, they have very few options. They have to drive for every one of their needs, to work, to get their kids to school, to get to medical appointments. And so all that's going to happen for them, Madam Speaker, is it's going to cost them more. The government is going to impose this tax on them without any other options or alternatives for them. We had a very interesting debate here in this House about biofuel, about the options for biodiesel. We on this side of the House, in fact, Madam Speaker, I put forward an amendment asking the government to actually include some sustainability language in their push to promote biofuels, and the government refused to do that, Madam Speaker. So on the one hand, we see the government trying to show in some superficial way that they are going to try and address climate change on the backs of consumers with an unfair gas tax, and on the other hand, we don't see any kind of incentives being put in place to actually create options for people. I have seen nothing from this government that offers incentives for things like geothermal heat pumps, for solar installation in your homes. And, Madam Speaker, my own personal experience with this, I've been looking at installing solar systems in my own house for my own personal use, and it is very, very expensive, Madam Speaker. It's not something that average working people in this province can afford, and I don't see anything here in the way of a fair treatment for workers, for working families, that would allow them to access some of these options so they can participate in the whole initiative of climate change fairly. For those of us that live on an island, Honourable Speaker, we don't have many options but to buy goods and services that are shipped to us from afar. And so there will be an accumulative effect of this gas tax on every single thing we purchase here on the island, and we have no options around that. So when the Minister of Finance says that this is going to be neutral to the consumer, cost neutral, revenue neutral to the consumer, nothing could be further from the truth, Honourable Speaker, because although the government's doing this sort of trivialized $100 buy yourself a pair of running shoes initiative, the reality is that every single thing we purchase here on Vancouver Island in the future will be affected by this gas tax. From our ferry fares to our food that's brought in to anything that's brought onto this island for us to purchase, even our plane fares now to get back and forth off here. We have no options. Honourable Speaker, that gas tax is going to be cumulative on every single thing we do. And so there is no neutrality available for us. This $100 to buy a pair of running shoes is going to quickly be eaten up, and real costs are going to be borne every single day by working people here. And so, Honourable Speaker, I stand up to say, I know that I have other speakers here. We're all trying to cram ourselves into this brief little 2 hours that we're allowed to respond to this bill. And so I'm standing here to say on behalf of my constituents that no, we are offended by another gas tax with rising costs of fuel right now. Anyway, that certainly hasn't changed behaviour. We can already see, gas is going up at the pump every single day. Has that changed anybody's behaviour? No. How can it? We don't have any other options. Where else are we going to go? How else are you going to get to work, get to your doctor's appointment, get your kids back and forth? No options there. We're just going to pay more every single day. That's not a climate action plan, Honourable Speaker, and therefore I cannot support this. My constituents cannot support this, and I'll be voting against it. Thank you.